Welcome back to the Fourth and Gold NFL podcast. We are at Conference Championship weekend. There are only 3 games left in the season, so it is bittersweet at this point, but we're marching right on to the big one. We're not going to get into the game straight away because, as always, there's been plenty that has gone on in the NFL this week. Plenty to do with coaching hirings and firings, and that is where we are going to start. We are going to start with what I will describe as strange, explosive press conference held by the Buffalo Bills yesterday with their owner and GM. Earlier this week, Sean McDermott was fired by the Bills after, I think it was 9 years. And the owner felt that it was important to justifying why he did that. The first thing he said that I thought was a bit odd was, I made the decision based on what I saw in the locker room after the game. I don't believe you. And even if that were true, I would say that's not a good way to run your football team, that you're going to be that instinctive that because Josh Allen's crying in the locker room and all the players are sobbing, that's a reason to fire this coach. My opinion is that, and I've said it to you, Paul, for years now, I don't think the talent level is high enough in Buffalo. If you want to fire McDermott, so be it. But to me, he has outperformed his GM.
Okay, so yeah, you were the one to tell me about this. I've researched and looked into it. And Josh Allen crying after the game, I mean, if it's true and you're calling bullshit on it, I'm calling bullshit on it too. If he's making a reaction based on Josh Allen crying, okay, my first question would be, how many locker rooms have you been in? And number two, did you watch the game? As in, the reason that Josh Allen might be crying is that he would feel in some way responsible for the outcome of that game. And I love Josh Allen, but he didn't play his best game last week. And that game was there to be had. Yeah, there were some questionable calls in the game, but especially the catch, which turned into a pick late in the game. But the owner should not be in the media talking. There is a reason why you don't know who the owner. Well, you do know because they're massively successful, but you don't know. You don't hear of the Eagles, the Chiefs, owners getting involved in personnel. And my take of it overall would be that he's trying to justify his decision to keep Beane in the building. I don't think it's going to help you in your head coach search, because any head coach, obviously they're going to get interest. There's only 32 of these jobs, and currently there was 10. There's now 6 or 7 left available. So they will always get calls for coaches that are interested in this job, but you're not helping by talking. And I don't know, rich people do what they want. And super rich NFL owners, the best ones, and I'm not claiming to know anything about it, but from what I've seen, the great teams, you don't hear hardly anything or nothing from the owner. So seems to me that he's trying to justify his decision to keep Beane in town. And I've heard, and it does make sense, that the head coach is on the sideline. The head coach is involved in the game. Where's the GM? Well, the GM's up in the box talking to the owner. Okay, right. And when the shit hits the fan, then what happened in Buffalo? Well, the coach is gone and the GM's still there. And I'm not saying the head coach should still be there, but maybe both of them should have been gone.
Yeah, exactly. And Bean isn't only staying; he's been promoted. So I don't know the real difference, if I'm honest, between general manager and basically the head of football operations. I guess it just means he has full and total say on a lot of the football decisions.
Well,
I don't think that's a good thing.
he will hire the head coach.
Yeah, he's going to hire the head coach.
Right. So the owner before he signs off into the night, that's his speech. And then he's like, well, see ya. I'm out here and probably won't hear from me again for until the next mess.
Mm. He said a lot of stuff. And I just want to touch on the Keon Coleman comments. So he thought it would be a great idea to use Coleman as a weapon to say, well, Brandon Beane didn't pick him. That wasn't his pick. That was the coaching that pushed to get Keon Coleman. And okay, he was prompted. The question was prompted to Brandon Beane, but the owner stepped in and said, "I'll take this one."
Mm-hmm.
What a mistake! Because regardless of Keon Coleman's 2 years, I know that it hasn't been great, and there's been a few issues. Like I think he's been a healthy scratch a number of times this year because of not doing the right thing, before the games. But he's still on your roster. Like he's still an asset. You don't know how other teams view him.
Yeah.
He's only in this is the end of year 2 for him. And for the owner to sort of use him as a weapon to say, oh, well, Brandon Beane didn't want him. Sean McDermott did. Like, what are you telling the player? Like, it's what you always say to me. Like, good owners, they either say nothing or they say positive things. Only positive things. Because you don't want to become a distraction or a headline like like the Bills owner has become this week. And the irony of this is that there is a clip of Brandon Beane at the combine, I believe it is. Keon Coleman runs, I think, like a 4.75. So on the slow end for what you're looking for as a receiver. And he literally says, I'm so glad that he ran that because he's going to fall down to us. So that doesn't sound like, it's necessarily all on the coaching. He had interest too.
Yeah, look, the owner might have, like I was alluding to, the owner might have been influenced by those conversations that I had in the box, in the booth. He's not, he might be remembering the last person that he spoke to. He might not be heavily involved in day-to-day operations. It doesn't sound. I didn't even know who he was until this blockbuster of a press conference. And yeah, I don't know what good it achieves. You can just release a statement and just make it neutrally worded. I mean, you're that rich that you can get a lawyer, you can get a PA to draft out for you. Just release it to Schefter. Done.
Yeah.
Don't have to do it. It just doesn't help. Or maybe do it after the event, after you've hired your head coach. You sign him to a contract. Now your head coach search has become more difficult. Your Keon Coleman issue has become more difficult because the guy was a second round draft pick, I believe.
Yeah.
So he's a highly drafted player. And there are always teams that are looking for receivers. Always. So he could have been traded, not for much, maybe a late round pick, but you could have got rid of him. I mean, the Cowboys took that guy off the Panthers, Mingo, for like a 4th rounder, and he was.
Yeah. So you're only hurting yourself.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense. And to me, like when you think about this job, let's forget the press conference for a minute. This job would be right up there at the top of the list with the Ravens, really.
Of course it would.
Because it's Josh Allen.
But now you've got a head coach, owner and a general manager to deal with.
Yeah, and it's a complete like put an off-putting situation now.
Yep. You've also big picture got the Patriots, who are in division in the AFC title game. Got Drake May, who's right up there in the MVP voting. You've got Vrabel in your division. Dolphins, we don't know if they can turn it around with the new head coach. The Jets, obviously, there's still the Jets, but they've got high draft picks. So if they do, by some miracle, manage it correctly, they could turn. The NFL turns quickly. Didn't expect New England to be this good this quickly. So yeah, and then I heard Josh Allen come out and say that he's got full confidence in the leadership of the team. Okay, cool. Well, the owner should take a leaf out of Josh Allen's book. He just said nothing. Like, what's he going to say? Of course, he's got faith in the ownership. What's he going to say? He's but the very strange. Very strange. A 3-hour rant, basically. I don't know.
Tell me I'm right. Tell me I'm right. Like,
what a mess. What a total mess.
And I think it's classless, because we've been speaking in the week about how Mike Tomlin, his departure was handled. This guy McDermott brought you how many division titles after 20 years of New England dominance in the AFC West, the AFC East.
Yeah.
And this is how you're going to let him go out.
Yeah, just be respectful. Like, I before watching the interview, that was my first reaction to you. It was, well, the Bills are doing this. Well, okay. Well, this, because there are some comparisons between McDermott and Tomlin. Like, defensive coach couldn't take it the whole way. Well, Tomlin not for too long, but and McDermott was being escorted out of the building while Tomlin was applauded out of the building. And even if it wasn't like that in Pittsburgh, you wouldn't find the truth out because they're aware that there's no good to come from those that kind of news coming out of your locker room. So
yeah.
And
I would just say this to really Josh Allen, and it's how I felt really midway through, well, not even midway, but earlier on in Aaron Rodgers' Packers career. Be careful when you get to your next contract, because if this regime doesn't demonstrate that they can get it done, as much as Josh Allen is emotionally tied to Buffalo, you have to think about your career and if you really want to win a Super Bowl, because we've seen the track record of Brandon Beane. Look at the drafts. Look at who they've acquired. How many all-pro players do they have to show for it? And I know it's hard. Like, I'm not saying that in every draft you should be getting an all-pro player, but you'd like to think there would be some. I mean, I'm using the 49ers as an example. We drafted Bosa, Debo in the same draft. They were both all pros. George Kittle in the 4th round. He's all pro. We acquired CMC. He's all pro. I don't see the history of this in Buffalo. Tell me who's been all pro. Diggs? They hit on Diggs. Great. But it's been few and far between outside of Josh Allen.
Yeah, no, that's fair. They've got some above average NFL players, and then Josh Allen and James Cook, really.
And an offensive line.
Yeah, and I do like some of their players on defense. I like Rousseau. I like Milano, but he can't stay healthy. When he was younger, I like
Ed Oliver.
I like Tre'Davious White. I think he was a good player, but they're not. But this could be big picture. There could be some movement in the NFL. at the quarterback position. I don't think there will be, but can you imagine if Burrow forced his way out, if Lamar forced his way out, and if Josh Allen forced their way out? Like we could, because these quarterbacks are that wealthy off their first contract, off their first big payday, off their first off the back of the rookie contract, that the player power now, it'd be crazy to see.
I can't see it with Josh Allen. Like, I think he's gonna live and die by Buffalo. But I agree. Like, I could. Why wouldn't Burrow think about it?
I could see Burrow. I think Lamar slightly less likely because I think they're going to try to please him with the head coach. And I think
Yeah,
the Harbaugh thing was in part to keep Lamar sweet.
agreed. Agreed. So it's Burrow. If Burrow became available, I mean, basically that 95% of the league would come knocking.
Yeah.
So just last thing on this Bills topic, the owner sort of called out seedings for the last however many years. We've been the number 2 seed and the number 5 seed, and he said that's because we had a quality roster. Like, it's just funny how he can come to such sharp conclusions, not give McDermott any credit that maybe, just maybe, the coach lifted them because in some of those years they were top 5 defenses. And obviously you've got Josh Allen. So to me, the formula was really Josh Allen lifting the offense, McDermott lifting the defense. As you said, these are good players, but good is not great in my opinion. So I still stand by it. I think that the coach, yep, if you felt like this was the time to go, then by all means, this is the time to go. But there's no way you can tell me that the GM outperformed the head coach.
I still just don't understand why both of them didn't get fired.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. Like, even Miami, they eventually got rid of McDaniel on top of the GM, but they didn't.
Yeah.
They was still a bit of a mess there, but eventually they got to the right conclusion. But yeah, you've got to get rid of both. The head coach is tied to the GM and vice versa, or at least should be. And if they're not, then this is the mess that comes out afterwards. No, it was your fault. No, it was your fault. No, you made that pick. And what a mess. Like, if you're not in agreement, or you can't have a healthy debate where I might not agree with you on everything, but I can understand where you're coming from. And if it turns sideways, then I'm not going to kick you on the way down. Like, we're in this together. We thrive together, or we get fired together. That should be the way of the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see who they get as a head coach. They'll still get a big name. I mean, it's still the Buffalo Bills. It's still Josh Allen. They're moving into a new stadium. They've made the playoffs. They should have beat the Broncos last week. Like, they're still a great franchise. Just confusing messaging from the owner, and that GM is now even more empowered. So,
Yeah,
coach is going in there like, what's the draft room going to be like in Buffalo? Well, it sounds like it's going to be the GM's is in full control of the draft. You can have an input, but the GM sounds like he is protected.
absolutely. So whoever goes there, you're going to basically have to fall in line.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be the GM's guy because the GM has just been promoted. So he's going to be heading the head coach search. It's going to be his guy, like a kind of puppet regime underneath him at head coach. So, yeah. At least with the Giants, I'm not saying I think it's going to be a massive success, but at least with Joe Schoen staying there, who was lucky to still be in town, they got a big name head coach in Harbaugh, who's had success, at least in the regular season. Now, over to you, Buffalo. What are you going to do with a similar, well, not similar in that the GM is staying and the head coach is out?
Well, it's funny you mention the Giants because they got Harbaugh in the end. There was a bit of jostling, and we later found out the reason why. John Harbaugh basically wanted full control, and he got it. So he will report directly to ownership. He will have final say, which means that Joe Schoen has lost a bit of power. He had to kind of he had to let that one go. It will always come back to that hard knocks for Joe Schoen,
As it should.
which yeah, because that was a terrible advertisement for him as a GM. So John Harbaugh could have jeopardized this deal, really. It's a very lucrative deal for him, but he obviously thinks the football aspects are important too, because now he's the final decision maker. He can build this team through his vision, which I think is important.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he can get some of the personnel guys out of Baltimore into New York, because the Ravens have, for the most part, drafted well. So yeah, if he does get his guys over there in New York, then Shane will be even more, and that's only going to be a good thing for the Giants. And
Yeah,
Steelers fan, I hope he does take a lot of the Ravens front office over to New York, because that's going to hurt the Ravens moving forward.
definitely. And it'll be interesting to see if any coaches come, because there is word that Todd Monken could be joining as well as offensive coordinator. At least reports say so. And I know that he wasn't popular with, I think, Lamar, if that is the correct reporting. But he got the best out of Lamar in the passing game. Like, I really do firmly believe that. In the
Yeah,
last 2 years, we saw a different level from Lamar in the passing game.
yeah,
And
and
not to say that he was mid before that. I mean, it's Lamar Jackson. He was still great, but I felt like it really went up a notch.
yeah, that could unlock the full potential of Jackson Dart if they can unlock the passing game
Yeah.
and maybe ask him to not take on linebackers as often. Just remember where the touch line is, and
Mm.
head out of bounds or slide every once in a while. Might be a good thing.
Yeah. So I think Giants fans should be excited. Well, it's the only thing you can be, because you have now got a legitimate Super Bowl winning head coach.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. And they, credit to them. They went after him and they
mm,
got the guy. So he was their number one guy. They went after him. They gave him what they wanted, and that's what you kind of have to do. If a Super Bowl winning head coach comes in and says, "I want this," then give him that. Like, he is going to be above a GM.
yeah, definitely.
I think there's very few GMs, possibly the Eagles GM, who could have power more than Super Bowl winning head coach.
Yeah. So just looking at some of the other hires this week, of course, one that interested me greatly was the departure of the hype man that is Robert Saleh. He has joined the Titans as head coach. I think that they probably have the answer at quarterback. Like, Cam Ward definitely impressed me this year. He won me over because I had a lot of doubts in the off season, but they got a whole host of questions in a lot of places elsewhere on that roster. So this is a real challenge for him. And you're going into a division with the Texans, who have the number one defense, and a reinvigorated Jaguars. Now, Robert Saleh knows D'Amico Ryans very well because of their time in San Francisco together.
Yep.
He also knows Liam Cohen very well for reasons that I can't really relay here. All I'll say is I'll be quite interested to see that handshake this year.
say my name, or don't you say my name, or something.
It felt like threats that were made that I'm not going to repeat.
Well,
So they don't like each other. Let's just say that.
yeah, Salah, like what I heard out of this deal was that Salah wants to call plays on defense. He regrets that he did not do that in New York,
Mm.
and that could only be a good thing for the Titans. And
Yeah.
also, you think that he was a massive failure in New York, like getting fired, but they were a game out of first place in AFC East when he did get fired after that game in London. And his record overall as a Jets head coach, I believe, is 20-36, which compared to when you think of the Jets, you don't think 20-36 is pretty decent considering the last 10
The
years.
Jets, yeah.
Yeah. And he had the Aaron Rodgers thing, having to deal with the Aaron Rodgers, and this was the kind of I want everything, Aaron Rodgers. I want my offensive coordinator. I want Randall Cobb. I want Alan Lazard. I want, and he had to deal with all that. Come on, it was just nonsense stuff. Like,
And he only got to see Aaron Rodgers on the field for like 5 or 6 games in that time. So he
yeah,
had to deal with all of the maintenance, but actually didn't get to see the player until year 2 of Aaron Rodgers' tenure at the Jets. And then he was gone after 5 games. So, yeah,
yeah,
not exactly setting your head coach up for success.
no, but so at least he's going to have the quarterback position stabilized here in Tennessee, and nice place to live. Uh, yeah, I wish him luck. I'm fond of Salah, and I hope he has success in Tennessee. And yeah, I think he deserves this second job. So most important job on that roster is going to be hiring a good offensive coordinator.
Yeah. I hope he does well as well. I know that I would have selfishly loved for him to stay at the 49ers, but he goes with my blessing for what it's worth as a 49ers fan. He's done a lot for us, and I do hope he does well. But if he doesn't, you know where your second home is.
Yeah, he's the kind of coach that's got a job for life in the league as a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
He'll be fine. And yeah, but I hope he does do well with the Titans because it would make that division really interesting.
Yeah, because the Colts are no slouches. Like, it's okay, they kind of collapsed, but they've got a competitive roster. Let's
Yeah,
put it that way.
yeah, they do. They do. And yeah, uh, in a division with Trevor Lawrence and Liam Cohen and Cam Ward now, and yeah, CJ Stroud. What the Texans going to do with his contract? Has he just cost himself a second contract? Possibly. Like,
I think he would have got a second contract this offseason because typically it's after year 3 where your rookie quarterbacks get their second deal.
yeah,
Well, that meltdown that he had on Sunday has completely ended that, and they would be foolish to extend him.
yeah,
He's going to have to do a lot now to win them back. Like, he's in year 4,
yeah,
and they can activate his 5th-year option. That's sensible. They they still talk a strong game that they believe in him.
mm,
Even Will Anderson after the game, okay, going a bit far, saying he's the best quarterback in the league. Okay, yeah, all good chat, but there are serious questions now. Like, it's not gone. It's not where it was with me, where you're sort of saying, yeah, he's struggling, but he's shown enough that this is the guy. Not anymore. He's going to have to prove. He's going to have to do a lot, I think, to convince me that he is their guy again. Because right now, you can't trust him. That game, if they had run the ball every play,
yeah.
they might have won the game. That's how costly and detrimental he was on Sunday.
But they couldn't run the ball either. It was
Yeah,
New
but they
England.
but they might have still won the game.
Yeah,
Going three and out, punting.
yeah,
That is how negative his performance was. Because on the other side of the ball, Will Anderson was having a day.
yeah. And we'll get to the Patriots, but the Patriots didn't even. Well, I mean, they won the game, but they weren't massively impressive on offense. Yeah, the Texans defense is really, really good, but they didn't take a full advantage of the turnovers that CJ Stroud hand delivered to them. And that's got to be a concern for the Patriots. But yeah, the Texans, it was almost painful to watch. You were messaging me in game saying they've got to bench him. And while I was agreeing with you, I was just saying, yeah, but they're never going to do that
No.
because he needs to get hurt or he needs to get hurt to leave the game. And yeah, you could see he almost had that wild-eyed, like, what's going on? What's going on? Like, he needed to be taken out of there for his own good and for the good of his team. For just maybe a drive or so. I don't know. But
Agreed. Yeah, because it felt like he got half time and he finally settled down. But I don't think he had a turnover in the second half.
yeah, it was a crazy game to watch because New England, like, yeah, I maybe haven't given them enough credit because of their weak schedule that they face. Sorry, Patriots fans, it's a fact. But they they played really, really well, and
Yeah.
their secondary is really good. Yeah, the corner, the ex-Bucks corner Davis gives up some PI calls, but yeah, the secondary is really good, and they've got two huge humans on the interior of that defensive line that just were crunching everything down and just making everything right in Stroud's face. And yeah, he wasn't enjoying his time out there for sure. And yeah, he did look rattled. Like you said, he should have been taken out for his own good.
Yeah.
Just to get a breather. Like
Yeah.
this is a game plan. Just a reminder of the game plan. Because even though they couldn't run the ball, like it would have at least taken he could have had a couple of plays off. Okay, all I've got to do is just concentrate on taking the snap and just to with what hand am I handing off the ball to
Yeah.
back, and that's it. And just take a moment and just scan the field and see what coverages they were playing because they weren't doing crazy stuff. The Patriots defense, they were just super aggressive.
And
And
it's like, do they not realize they have the number one defense? Because I've never seen an offense that has the number one defense play so recklessly. It's like they thought, you know, we're in a shootout because they're going to score every time they get the ball, so we can't punt. Like, you can literally punt most of the game and you're going to win the game.
occasionally, though, your quarterback does have a terrible game, but the running game just couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like they just got completely like the Texans offensive line just got bullied by the Patriots. And yeah, it was not a good time to have a bad performance from your offensive line and your quarterback and your running back. Like he had nowhere to go. Nowhere to go.
He
But
had a costly fumble in the third quarter as well. So you think they lost by 12? I know it doesn't work exactly like this, but they lost by 12. Stroud had a pick six. He threw an interception in the red zone, and Marks fumbled in the red zone. To me, that's 13 points right there. If we're talking conservatively, that the two red zone turnovers are just field goals. That's 13-point swing.
yeah. But the Texans were what? They were well below 500. They were 1-5 or 1-4.
They were 0-3, I know that much. And I don't know, I think there's only like 6 teams in history that have come from 0-3 to make the playoffs.
Yeah. And Stroud, yeah, he played a terrible game, but he's been to the divisional round now of the playoffs, what, 3 years running?
Yeah.
So, but there has been a trend with Stroud where He has been, since his rookie year, he has been heading downwards for the last 2 years.
Yeah,
That's a concern. But big picture, if he does turn it around, then they've still got their quarterback and at least now, like they can buy themselves some time by giving him the 5th-year option. He's gonna be there for at least the next year.
yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
they've still got this defense, and
Mm.
I think they're going to be mostly under contract. I don't think they're going to lose most of their guys. Hunter
Uh,
came the last off season. Stingley's under contract. Will Anderson's still going to be on his rookie deal. Like, yeah, they're still going to be really, really good. D'Amico Ryan's coached team on defense next year. His defense is still going to be really, really a real problem. So can CJ Stroud, and he was hurt this year,
They didn't have Tank Dell this year, so hopefully he comes back in his normal self because
So since that game against the Chiefs, since that horrendous injury, he has not played. Since
yeah.
the playoff game. Wow. Okay.
And they didn't have Joe Mixon this year. I don't know. I don't know if he'll be back, but if he comes back, that's obviously a massive deal for the offense.
Yeah, they lost Nico Collins to concussion after the game in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And yeah. Yeah, it's a shame because I thought the Texans, because like I was saying to you, like during the game, like this with the Broncos quarterback situation, the winner of this game could make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You just needed to get out of New England with that win.
Exactly.
Bad time to have your worst game of the season. Bad time.
Absolutely. So the last head coaching move that I wanted to just touch on is the Falcons hired Kevin Stefanski. Now, as you'll know, I am not a great believer in Stefanski, but if there's one thing that he knows well, it is how to design a run game. And this is quite a place to, yeah, bring that to the table when you've got what I think is a pretty good offensive line overall,
Yep.
and that superstar Bijan Robinson. Obviously, you've got some quarterback issues, so I don't know what they're going to do. I will assume that they will roll with Penix. We both have had a lot of questions on Penix, but what do you make of Stefanski joining the Falcons?
I think we're going to find out if Stefanski is a good head coach. And I know he's got those 2 Coach of the Year titles to his name. And he had a lot to deal with in Cleveland. Let's be honest about that. The Watson situation, and yeah, he clearly didn't get on with Baker towards the end. And
Baker was very vocal about this appointment.
yeah, I love that. I love that. I don't expect any different though from Baker. Like he's gonna tell you how he feels, and he needs that motivation to get something more out of him. So yeah, those games are going to be interesting next year. I think Stefanski could be a good head coach, and I think he's going to be an upgrade over Raheem Morris. I was not a fan of Raheem Morris. Just I didn't see that he elevated his team at all. I think he's a good defensive coordinator. Go and get a job as a defensive coordinator. But Stefanski, yeah, it's interesting with the running game. Like you said, I think he could make a huge difference. Bijan to be Offensive Player of the Year next year. Bijan to lead the league in scrimmage yards next year.
He already did it this year, so
Yeah.
what is his ceiling with Stefanski? That's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, and the Browns, yeah, they had a really good defense for a lot of the time he was there. Yeah, Stefanski, I think he could be good. I'm glad to see him out of division. Like big picture, I think he probably overachieved with the Browns, and towards the end, it was just a total mess.
Yeah.
So I
It's a
think,
great division to join.
yeah, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, Atlanta needed, I don't think they were heading anywhere with Raheem Morris. So,
Okay. Well, there is one other appointment that I thought I would just raise this week. Mike McDaniel, now you're talking about the Browns,
mm,
actually withdrew himself from the process to become their head coach. And we later then found out the reason why. It's because he decided to take the offensive coordinator role at the Chargers,
yeah,
which I want to give my man Jim Harbaugh some credit. The Harbaugh family love Greg Roman, and Jim Harbaugh let him go. And that was the right thing to do because, as we've seen time and time again with the Greg Roman offense, it is predictable and teams figure it out midway through the season. So I'm interested. I'm definitely interested. Mike McDaniel is a great offensive mind. He got he got broken down in Miami. I want to see year one, year two, Mike McDaniel offense where, he's got the tricks. He doesn't need many with Herbert overall, maybe in the playoffs, but he won't need to completely handhold Herbert the way he had to do with Tua. So I think this is a good move. I I am now really questioning Herbert. I'm not saying he had to win in New England, but he had to put up a better fight than he did. I know that the offensive line play was absolutely awful. Like, you can't plan for two major injuries, but we've seen the very, very top quarterbacks at least put up a fight. Like, that's what disappointed me with Herbert. He didn't put up a good fight. He tried, but it wasn't a very good effort, in my opinion.
yeah. I think the most important thing for this coaching hire is, do both of the tackles come back
Yeah.
to be the players that they were before their injuries in Alt and Slater? If they can, then the Mike McDaniel unlocking and creativity in the passing game, added to Jim Harbaugh, who wants to run the damn ball and play physical, could be very interesting in LA. Like, they could have some big success, but it does come back to the offensive line.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's a great decision from McDaniel to take himself out of the Browns job, where, you know, historically head coaches have gone to die, to go somewhere like LA where he's not the main guy, just take himself out of the spotlight a little bit. Play with a super talented quarterback, play with a head coach who's recruited him. So it's going to be supportive of him. It's going to, encourage him. He's Jim Harbaugh. He's going to be demanding, but he's going to, yeah, if you're one of Harbaugh's guys, then you'll be protected. I think he kind of gives me that vibe, Harbaugh.
Yeah.
You're in the if you're in this trust tree, then yeah, he will look after you. And in a couple of years' time, I think Mike McDaniel could be out there again as the head coach again.
Yeah.
And if he went to the Browns or the Raiders and it went badly, then that could have been him done as a head coach. So, he's got like a long career. He's still relatively young as head coaches go. So, yeah, I think smart decision. Smart decision. Work with Harbaugh. Harbaugh takes all the kind of heat there. Mike McDaniel can just go back to what he was good at. He doesn't have to deal with like the nonsense of meetings, like all that stuff we were hearing in Miami, like just lack of discipline and calling each other out. No, don't have to deal with that anymore. And yeah, it's just interesting that he's going to LA, the team that drafted Herbert ahead of. No, so the Dolphins drafted Tua ahead of Herbert when they could have taken Herbert. now he does get the chance to work with Herbert. So yeah, what can he do with Herbert? Because
Yeah,
there's yeah, I'm getting tired of saying that there seems to be more there with Herbert.
yeah.
Um, yeah, he's again another interesting guy to go, right. What are his stats going to be next year if the two tackles turn up in training camp and Mike McDaniel is there for the full off season? We
I
saw
mean, Herbert had a great year
he did.
considering both the tackles were out.
Yeah,
You know, it's not sustainable the way he had to play, but
yeah,
it was really great at times. It's just, once again, it was a really disappointing end.
yeah. Harbaugh will bring the kind of physicality, the mentality. Like he wants to run the ball, he wants to be really physical. He's not going to do like these like outside zone stretch runs. He's just going to run it right at you, just see how much you want it, and add that to McDaniel and creativity and pre-snap movements and yeah, just quick hitting passing game. And can they get some receivers?
Because what the hell happened to Lad McConkey? He went MIA this season. It's like I don't think it's necessarily him. So I'm interested to see, if there's a change with Mike McDaniel because year one with McConkey, he had a big year.
Hmm.
And in Greg Roman's second year, MIA.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see the receivers like on the Chargers. If they're to follow the Dolphins recipe, then they're going to need to have electrifying speed. But do they have those guys on the Chargers? They have your guy Trey Harris. He's rapid.
Yep.
Um,
I mean, Johnston is quick as well. It's just, can he be consistent with other things? He was better than, anyone could have thought he would have been this year for a lot of the time. He tapered off at the end. But yeah, they probably need someone else there.
Herbert's bigger, more athletic, got a bigger arm. I can't think of one thing that I'd say that Tua has over Herbert. So it's got to be a win for McDaniel to
Yeah.
Herbert after working with Tua for so long and rebuild his reputation. He was the guy. He lost his job because he was tied to Tua.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully I like McDaniel, so I hope he can because I think that stuff in Miami was just bullshit. Like I think he's not that he's almost going to the opposite of the anti-Miami in the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh. Like it's going to be no nonsense with Jim Harbaugh. So and big picture, like hopefully going to influence him in this is how a head coach operates.
Yeah. The apprentice now. And
Yeah,
as you said, like, this is going to set him up to come back.
yeah, of course.
Whereas you go to the Browns, it goes wrong, you're done, really. Like, you you rarely get more than two goes at this unless you're really good.
He didn't strike me as I remember saying to you, I really hope for his sake he doesn't go to the Browns. He doesn't really. I know it's easy to say like, oh, a little guy short of stature, like going to a cold weather team like the Browns, but he didn't. He doesn't look. He doesn't carry himself like a Cleveland Browns head coach, and he would have a lot of like very cold, miserable Sundays in Cleveland if things were going badly. Yeah, it's not a nice place to be, Cleveland, a lot of times. As I know as a Steelers fan, because we lose there way more than what we should, considering how terrible the Browns are. Yeah, McDaniel would not have been happy in Cleveland. So good for him in turning down, because it's not easy to turn down a head coaching job. Not that he was offered it, but he even before got involved in the speculation of it said, no, I don't want that, or no, I'm
Yeah,
myself out of it. So credit to him.
absolutely. So we're still sitting here with the AFC North with 3 vacancies. So these next few weeks are going to be interesting.
Yep. Yep. And Zach Taylor's the only one who's still got a job, which is crazy. Like, well, you would have said he'd still have a job, but that all 3 other teams would be looking for a coach. Wow.
Yeah. Okay, shall we move on to the games for this week?
Yeah, there are some games to be played.
There are some games. So we are at Conference Championship weekend.
Mm-hmm.
From a 49ers standpoint, last week couldn't have gone any worse. But from a neutral point of view, the NFC, we've got a really great game. But first, I believe it's first, the AFC Championship opens Sunday's games. We have the New England Patriots at the Denver Broncos. Patriots are favored by 4.5 for obvious reasons. Just what a killer blow that Bo Nix would suffer that injury and not be able to complete the season. So it is going to be Jared Stidham, who I don't remember the last time he played in the NFL. I think it was maybe at the Raiders. He came from New England, and I remember studying him when he was in New England. If I remember correctly, my thought was he's a better Jimmy Garoppolo, but that's going back some years.
God, you hate Jimmy G.
So
you always find a way to get in the Jimmy G comparison.
It's hard to know what to expect. It really is, because the problem I think for Denver is, as good as their defense has been or is, I don't think it's on the level of a Texans or a Seahawks. Like, it's good, it can be really good, but I think last week we saw them get run on pretty heavily. And I just think that New England are going to have some success on offense. The big matchup for me is, how is Will Campbell going to do this week? Because he's had a tough time in these playoffs in both games, particularly last week. Like, that was a tough assignment. I get it with Will Anderson, but he really got dominated at times. So can Nick Bonito break the game on that side? Because Drake May has been really good, but he doesn't yet have that pocket awareness, which is why we've seen, I think, the highest amount of fumbles from a quarterback, because he's just not able to feel it coming. And if his left tackle is getting beaten the way he's been getting beaten in these playoffs, there could be more fumbles in this game.
Yeah. This is... So it's easy just to snap react and go, oh, they got a backup quarterback. Like, that's it. Okay. Who was the starting quarterback before the injury?
Bo Nix.
And Bo Nix, if you look at the whole season, is a middle of the pack NFL starter. Let's just be honest about it. I mean, he was elite at times in fourth quarters.
Yeah.
But most of the time it's in fourth quarters. Jared Stidham, look, obviously Peyton's going to come out and say, yeah, we love Jared Stidham, and yeah, we're going to get Jared Stidham ready for this game. And yeah, there's something to be taken from that, because Sean Payton has a really good record with backup quarterbacks in his time in New Orleans, with, the Jameis Winston time, and I think he's got a really, really good record when he has to go, because he's got that reputation and he's earned it of being a genius kind of offensive play caller. And then you've got New England, and Drake May, I don't want to be hated by Patriots fans, but I'm just going to try to be as honest as I can, because I have no bias or dog in this fight whatsoever. I'm just looking at the games and calling it as I see it. Drake May has struggled in the playoffs. And there has been a regular season Drake May, and then so far at least, I know it's only 2 games, a playoff Drake May. And going to Mile High Stadium is going to be tough. It's going to be really loud. The weather's not going to be a factor, but the Mile High air is going to be a factor. The noise is going to be a factor. The speed on defense in Denver is going to be a factor. So the Patriots, I think, need to take the air out of the building by running the ball, as you said. And I think that's the key to this game. Can they run inside on the Broncos? And the Broncos, they need to run the ball also, but I don't know. And then you've got the aspect of that the Patriots have never. I know it's not Drake May and it's not Mike Vrabel, but the Patriots have never won in Denver in the playoffs.
And let's just emphasize that point. Tom Brady, the great Tom Brady, as I'm told, is 0-3 in the playoffs in Denver. So, yeah, I'm probably going to get hated for that moment, but your Tom Brady Patriots fans is 0-3 in Denver in the playoffs. Thank you.
Denver's a really tough place to play just because of the air.
Yeah.
And this year, yeah, the defense, they probably should have lost to the Bills, but I don't know. I look at the spread and the spreads, because I was listening to guys from Vegas saying, how they would handicap this game if it's Bo Nix versus how it is handicapped now. And they made the Broncos favorites by a point or a point and a half. And now it had swung to earlier in the week, it was the Patriots -5.5. So what? Bo Nix is worth 7 points over Jared Stidham. And they were saying, and I did agree, I don't see that. I don't see how Bo Nix is 7 points better than most NFL quarterbacks, most NFL backup quarterbacks. So can Sean Payton do it? Can he create a game where... So it's going to be a game within a game because the Patriots are going to know, at least have a general idea of what Payton's going to want to do, going to want to get Stidham into the game, give him some easy completions, give him some confidence, and then open it up later in the game. I don't think we're going to learn anything from the first, scripted drives, the first 15 plays from the Broncos. No, it's going to be when he gets out of the script and he has to call plays based on what the defense is doing and based on how they are playing, based on how they're blocking up front. I really want to pick the Broncos the more I think about it, but I don't know who Jared Stidham is. That's a real problem. I do know who Sean Payton is as a head coach, and I've got confidence in him, but it's a lot to pick them to beat the Patriots with Stidham. And their running game hasn't been producing at a really high level. The Patriots are running the ball better than the Broncos lately as well. So I do give the Broncos the edge on defense, but not by much. The Patriots defense is good, and I didn't give them credit, maybe as much as what they deserve for who they played earlier in the year. But yeah, and Stroud had a what the hell kind of game last week, but they still made the plays. They still really rattled him, and yeah, they've got some talent. They're not, it's just, I think the only thing I can say for sure in this game is that I find it really hard to see how either of these teams are going to beat the winner of the NFC title game.
Mm.
That's what I can pick almost. That's what I'm most confident about with this game is that the best. it's it's really negative to say, but this is how I feel. The best game remaining on the NFL schedule is the NFC title game, and I believe the winner of that is the Super Bowl winner.
We've seen it before. We've seen this story before. And that's the way it goes sometimes. One conference has the two strongest teams and it becomes the effectively the Super Bowl. So I think that's how you feel right now. Whoever wins the NFC title game is probably going to win the Super Bowl.
I will take the Patriots, but I will say that I'm not super confident about it. I'm not. I don't. It's not like, oh wow, I think the Patriots are going to kill them, and yeah, I think it still might be a struggle. I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos even pull off the upset just because of the conditions, and Drake May could have a what the hell kind of Mile High is a crazy place. Defense will be Sean Payton's going to get his team really going for this. But then Mike Vrabel's a good head coach on the other side, and he said that they've flown out to Denver a day early, so it's Mike Vrabel coach team. They're going to be prepared at least. So take the Patriots. I don't feel really good about it, and that's just because of the question mark I do have. Who is Jared Stidham? I don't.
Mm.
And I don't think Sean Payton doesn't know either, because if he did know, then with Bo Nix struggling as he did earlier in the season, we didn't see he hasn't taken a snap. So yeah, sorry to not be like, right, this is my pick, but yeah, I will take the Patriots, and I will take the Patriots. I'll take the over. I'll take the Patriots and the over. The over is 42 and a half points. Don't feel super confident about the spread, but I think this is a bet in running kind of game. Maybe when you've seen a few drives of the Broncos, then you could learn about who Jared Stidham is. So don't think anybody knows, even the Broncos.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. One thing that I feel pretty certain on is that Jared Stidham will not throw four picks because, as you said, Sean Payton's a good coach. He's not going to put his quarterback, his backup quarterback, in situations to panic. I expect a lot of quick throws, screens, a few razzle dazzle plays, and of course, trying to get this run game going. Because we know that RJ Harvey has a lot of potential in this league, but this run game has not been like high powered, certainly not as strong and potent as the Patriots run game has been. And I've got to say, apologies to Ramondre Stevenson. Where has this come from where he's now making 20-yard chunk plays and gashes against the Texans? Fair enough. As you said, Drake May has struggled in these playoffs, but he's also made a lot of big plays. I knew that last week the Texans defense were going to give, their team a chance to win it. And I think that the Texans offense lost the game, in all honesty, because we were sitting in towards the end of the third quarter after 5 turnovers and the score was 21-15. So that tells you the story of the game.
Yeah.
Will Denver create that many turnovers this week? Probably not, but I think they will create turnovers because, as I said, Drake May is still learning, to be an NFL quarterback, and he's not aware of a lot of these strip sacks that are happening. So I think that will continue. I think he will continue to stand firm in the pocket because he wants to make the big play, and in some cases, he's going to make the big play because he can make those throws. But I think if Will Campbell gets beaten the way that he's been getting beaten, we're going to see some fumbles in this game. And it's just the running games. The running games for me are a big factor. I think New England will have a lot of success on the ground, and I just don't know if Denver will. Because if I'm the Patriots, what am I saying to this defense? Do not get run on. Jared Stidham is going to have to beat us through the air. And if he does that, we'll shake his hand and say, great game. But I think they feel pretty confident that they can force some mistakes from him. So I'm going to have to take the Patriots. I didn't really give them much credit. I didn't want to over-credit them during the regular season because of the schedule. And that's a legit thing, as we've been saying. But that was a big win last week. They came through a very stormy game. And they're not facing a defense as tough as that one this week, in my opinion. They're still very good. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to disrespect the Broncos. But I think Drake May's going to make plays in this game. Some bad ones, but more good ones. So Patriots win. 4.5. I think the Patriots are going to cover.
If the Patriots do win, I know that we're sort of backtracking a little bit from bashing on the Patriots. But if the Patriots do win this week, then easiest strength of schedule in the NFL, followed by Justin Herbert in the playoffs. That's Herbert playoffs, followed by CJ Stroud, 5 turnovers, followed by backup quarterback. That's their route to the Super Bowl. Has there been an easier route to the Super Bowl in recent history than that?
It's one of those where you get to the Super Bowl and then you run into a buzzsaw.
Yeah. So, but with that, all of those things have lined up perfectly, then maybe something crazy will happen in the Rams-Seahawks game and somebody doesn't make it to the Super Bowl. Just that's the way the season seems to have gone for the Patriots.
Yeah, we'll see. We will see. But I will say it now that Drake May is going to do something that Tom Brady couldn't, and that's beat Denver in the playoffs first time.
Yeah. Oh, well, they'll take that. They will take that.
Just on a side note, it's been on my mind the last couple of days. It's been a very interesting season. Drake May's obviously had a great season. I think we've seen a great season from Caleb. I'm just putting the question to you. If you had to start a franchise tomorrow, who would you choose as your quarterback? Caleb Williams or Drake May?
I'd take Caleb. I think that the ceiling is greater because with Caleb, the crazy plays are already there. The what the hell plays. And if he can make the simple plays, then what can he achieve in this league? Yeah, because there's a reason why they were drafted where they were drafted. Both have had great careers, at least so far. But Caleb Williams, you can see he's got a greater potential than Drake May. And
I 100% agree. And, it'll be fun. It's going to be fun this year when we get to our top 10 quarterback countdowns. But some of these plays that Caleb, I know that obviously, Komet, I don't know what the corner's doing really. Like he's not really aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
But for Caleb to step back and I'm watching it unfold and I'm thinking, okay, this game's over. For him to then kind of fall away, throw it, he just gave it a chance, and it really did make me feel like Aaron Rodgers-esque against like Cardinals, like pulling off, really the impossible. And this guy's throwing power. Like that ball it was popping through the air. Like you saw Stafford, he's got an all-time arm. But the way Caleb was throwing it, I was like, whoa, like this guy, he's got serious arm strength as well. So yeah, I'm glad I asked that question.
Yeah, both quarterbacks have benefited from the support staff that they've had this year.
Yeah.
You know, Ben Johnson and Josh McDaniel in New England have benefited these quarterbacks massively. Both have seen a huge jump in year two. And that's exciting to see what's going to happen in year three, because you would expect, Ben Johnson's not going anywhere. McDaniel's not going anywhere either. Like he's staying there. So you would expect it to continue and just draft some more guys around them. The Bears, what do they need? Or the Bears need defense, but the Bears need, keep adding a couple more guys in the offensive line.
Yeah.
And some defense as well. And with New England, just keep adding skill position players on the outside. And again, the offensive line, just add to the offensive line. And these guys can be superstars. This is not a quarterback. It's not like a quarterback bust draft. This is a really good draft for quarterbacks. And the Patriots have got to be delighted with how it's worked out with Drake May so far.
Yeah, because you give McDaniel credit, you give Drake May credit, because outside of Diggs, and I don't want to disrespect these guys because they've played well, but these aren't household names like Bootsy.
He did make a crazy catch, but you're looking for consistent over an extended period of time. He's not going to catch it 80, 90, 100 times a season. Like he's not that.
So I'm interested to see if Mike Vrabel will go back to a player that he loved, that was taken away from him. And it's that big guy in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got to be available for trade, but it's got to be available for trade. But then the Eagles are going to fire their OC, so will that make everything okay again? Will everybody love each other again in Philadelphia? We don't know. He's going to be fired. I don't know if he has been fired already.
He's been fired.
He's been fired, right? So like things might turn quickly in Philadelphia.
And I don't know if I've read this wrongly, but I heard that they were considering interviewing Brian Daboll. And I think that would actually be a match made in heaven, because look at what he did with Josh Allen and Daniel Jones. That could be Jalen Hurts. Like, bring the dual threat back to Jalen Hurts, because clearly this offensive coordinator couldn't make it happen. Like, Hurts wasn't really running the ball. And when he did, the rare games that he actually was running, that offense was better. So Brian Daboll with his run game and the read option and getting the quarterback running as well, that to me feels like they would bounce back.
Yeah, and that would only help AJ Brown and Saquon be more productive.
Yeah.
So good shout. Good shout. Daboll should find a job this year as an OC somewhere.
100%. So we move to the NFC Championship. As I said earlier, as a 49ers fan, this couldn't be a worse possible matchup. But from a neutral point of view, these two teams have been on a collision course. We've seen two the first meeting was a really good game. The second meeting was a great game, one of the best games of the season. Feels like that second game, the Rams threw it away. So if we're looking at the two regular season matchups, the Rams have been the better team. But the spread is 2.5 in favor of the Seahawks. The Seahawks defense, well, it's been good all year, but I think the Seahawks overall in this last month have looked different. What are your thoughts on this game to send one of these teams to Levi's Stadium to fight for a Super Bowl?
Well, first, like credit to your division to have a guaranteed representative in the Super Bowl. Number one, like 3 teams in the playoffs, 3 12-win teams in the playoffs in your division, and the NFC title game to be played out between 2 teams in the same division is kind of crazy. Yeah, there's a lot with this game. Like, so they play twice. They know each other pretty well. Sam Darnold has historically struggled against the Rams, although he does have the most recent game, he had a come from behind win, where, again, for the most part, he didn't play that great, but he still had, so over the 2 games, he's had 6 turnovers. But when he's not turning the ball over for large periods of each game, he plays really well. So Sam Darnold's confusing. Like, have the Rams done something to him? Do the Rams confuse him with their coverages? Don't know what it is. Is that going to happen again? And the first game, I remember saying to you, my reaction to the first game was, wow, the Seahawks came back and kept that game close despite Darnold turning the ball over. If they play again and Darnold plays a slightly better game, I think the Seahawks will win. Well, Darnold didn't play great the second time, but the Seahawks won because the Rams decided to go 3 and out late in the game and just...
The crazy 2-point conversion.
The backward pass, yeah.
Rashid Shaheed. You know, we were talking about the Bills earlier. The Seahawks traded for Rashid Shaheed, and without him, they do not finish the number 1 seed, because that was a big play in that game.
Yeah, and the Seahawks are number 1 in the NFL in points from special teams, and the Rams are way towards the bottom of the NFL in field position from kickoffs and points conceded through special teams. So that's an X factor in this. If I'm the Rams, like, don't do that again. Like, just punt the ball out of bounds or take the touchback. Like, don't give this guy the ball.
Certainly don't do what the 49ers did last week, where the game was basically over in 13 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I was thinking about this game, I was like, because to me, this game is how many turnovers is Sam Darnold going to have? If it's less than 2, I think Seattle wins. If it's greater than 2, then I think the Rams will win, because Seattle has a better defense than the Rams. And Seattle, like you said, has the X factor on special teams, and Seattle has the 12s. And it's going to be crazy there. If, like,
extra day,
hear the noise when the Rams are going to have to silent count a lot. So how many false starts on offense for the Rams? So the Rams have to run the ball. And what I heard today, which I thought was crazy because you don't associate this with the Rams, is in the last matchup, the Rams ran the ball 37 times.
In that game that went to overtime?
Yeah.
Because Stafford threw for 450.
Yeah. So, and they did that. Well, at least he said this to try and take, and it does make sense with a Seattle, because you do want to wear them down. you don't want to run all over them because I don't think you can run all over them, but you can just wear them down and just slow down that pass rush and just stop them from being super aggressive. Because because Seattle's a defense can overwhelm teams, as sadly you know and have seen a couple of times recently. When they get, it's almost like when they smell blood, like that's it. They are coming for you. But the Rams have had success against this Seattle defense by dialing up plays. You know, your like double move plays and like just pump plays by Stafford to get corners biting and go behind the coverage, because that's the way to like attack in a really aggressive defense. And the Seahawks, yeah, they're gonna by definition they are aggressive, and they're at home, and it's an NFC title game, and they hate the Rams. And so yeah, I'm struggling with this one because it's to what level? I know that Sam Darnold is going to have a moment. It's just how many of those moments are going to be there. And also, if you think big picture, Mike McDonald has had a great season, but it's Mike McDonald and Sam Darnold against Sean McVay and Matt Stafford. Who are you taking? Yeah, you take McVay and Stafford as a head coach quarterback combination all day, every day.
Yeah.
And the Rams have played twice on the road. And the Rams, it needed like a last minute drive against the Panthers to win that game.
And the Bears kind of lost that game in the end.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what happened on the play. I do feel like DJ Moore wasn't interested enough in the play in his route, because the way Caleb threw it, it was like, just keep running. Oh no, you didn't. But at the same time, it's inexperience, I think, to be running a play like that when ultimately you're trying to get into field goal range.
But I think despite everything, well, a lot of things that I said favoring the Rams, that just makes me question the pick that I'm about to make. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the Seahawks. I think it's time for Sam Darnold. And I think he's going to have his moment this week. I think Seattle's defense is greater. And I just think they're going to overwhelm the Rams. I think that the Rams, they're not huge defense, at least up front. I think Seattle's just going to lean on them a little bit. And if I'm the Seahawks, I'm just handing the ball off. They don't have Charbonnet this week, which is a blow. But I think they're just going to hand the ball off a lot to Kenneth Walker. And I think eventually it's just going to wear down the Rams. And I just hope that the Seahawks kind of don't hold themselves back a little bit. Don't be too crazy. I think the game's there to be won, provided they're smart about it. And I kind of disagree a little bit with what you said, that the Rams have been the better team in the two games. I think the Seahawks gave them the two games with Darnold's play. But as I do give Seattle credit for those two games, and because if you go by stats, they should have been crushed in both games with Darnold's turnovers, and they weren't. And they won one of them, which is mad considering you got 6 turnovers in 2 games.
They missed a field goal to lose the other one. They nearly won the other one.
Yeah, so these two teams, like, good luck picking it. I'm not. Yeah, it's the AFC title game. Obviously, I'm going to watch it and I'm excited for it. But this game is like, wow, I am pumped for this game. Seahawks, Rams. in Seattle. I hope it's raining. I hope it's windy. I hope the 12s are going crazy. I hope the crowd noise. I hope the stadium's like shakes off its foundations. Like, yeah, it's going to be crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna say that Sam Darnold has his moment and he makes it to the Super Bowl. So Seattle wins and they cover.
Very interesting. I don't think the Rams have found their best in a while.
Yeah,
And they have to find it this week if they're going to have any chance of winning this game. If they play like last week, it's not going to be like 41-6 that the Niners had to endure, but they're going to get blown out, in my opinion. So I think they will play better because there was a moment after the game where Stafford runs to McVay and he's like, I played like dog shit. And McVay was like, so did I. Like, from a coaching point of view, we're not going to do that again. Um, One thing that I just don't understand why teams are doing this, but Puka Nakua, right? Every third down for the Rams, I'm always like, where's Puka Nakua? And it's very often the case that he's wide open. And I'm thinking to myself, I know you have to respect the team. I know they've got Devontae Adams, but I'm not getting beaten by Puka Nakua. And for him, like there was a third down last week where they're blitzing off the edge, and on that same edge, Nakua is in the slot, and I'm like, hold on, there's like this massive empty space behind that blitzer, and so of course they snap the ball, and Nakua runs a 5 yard hitch route, and I'm like, how are teams not just like we have to take away Nakua? I would like to see Seattle do that this week because otherwise Nakua is going to go off. He will. And I know you look at Seattle's defense and you say, well, do we have to do that? We're great. Like we've got the rush, we've got speed in the secondary. We can just play whoever we want against Nakua. But I just think I if you take him away, I don't think Devontae Adams can kill you for the whole game.
yeah, Puka is like, yeah, he is the difference maker. He really is.
Yeah.
Because yeah, he like you said, he gets deep. He makes every sort of play possible. Devontae is, yeah, he's not going to win the game for you.
He'll make plays like, you will have your battle with him. He'll win some, you'll win some. I think that's a better option than letting Nakua and Stafford kill you with these explosive plays.
Yeah,
Seattle, they've got the extra day of rest. The game wasn't really that taxing for them.
no,
Like, let's face it, the game was over at, well, midway through the third quarter, but mentally, I knew the game was over way before that. So really, you know, they had a bye week, and then they've basically kind of had a mini bye week with a game that wasn't taxing.
pretty healthy, except Charbonnet didn't make it. But
Lost Charbonnet, that's the killer for them because, like you said, they have to try and hurt the Rams on the ground. And they've got quite the running back to do that with in Kenneth Walker. But it's whether or not they can make that happen like they did last week because the outside zone just killed the 49ers. But this Rams defense is a lot more talented than the 49ers defense. And I would think that there'll be emphasis from the Rams to say, look, we've had success turning the ball over with Darnold. Do not get beaten on the ground. So for me, it's like the Rams say, do not let Kenneth Walker go off. The Seahawks say, do not let Puka Nakua go off. And as you said, if Darnold doesn't turn the ball over, I think Seattle win this game. It's just, is he going to make those mistakes? And I think is it the same corner from the Rams has picked him off 3 times across these 2 games. So it's an interesting one. It is. And we haven't seen Jackson Smith and Jigba go off in a while because I don't think he's really needed to. Certainly didn't need to last week. But this might be the week where the ball's put back in Sam Darnold's hands on offense, and it's, can you beat us? I think they can. I think they're going to be able to run the ball with Kenneth Walker. Like, the Rams will put up a fight. I'm just concerned with where the Rams are right now versus where the Seahawks are. The Rams, I have not seen them play to their peak for a while now. And I don't know if they can find that this week. If they do, boy, are we in for a great game. Like, we might be in overtime again.
Yeah, when you say that, it's interesting because it's like the number one offense in the NFL in the Rams, but it's the hottest team in the NFL in recent weeks in the Seahawks. Do you take the whole season or do you take what you have seen in the last month? If it's the last month, then there's no question Seattle should be favorite and Seattle should win this game. But if it's the whole season, but which Rams team are turning up this week? We don't know. We know they have it in them. We've seen it. But who steps off the flight in Seattle?
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell you what, if the Rams go in there and win this game, it's like legacy changing for Stafford. Because he'll then be in line to win his second Super Bowl. A lot of the names that, we've come to love, some of the very elite quarterbacks in this league haven't got to 2. Aaron Rodgers, for example, hasn't got to 2.
Brett Favre.
Yeah. There's a number of quarterbacks that right now we look at and we say you're the best in the league, and they haven't even been to a Super Bowl. So I think this is like legacy changing for Stafford. Like, this will really propel him.
Oh, this will be a test. Seattle, with the 12s and that defense. Like, if you make it to the Super Bowl, you have earned it. And because of the AFC title game, either of these teams would be favorite in the Super Bowl. And
agreed.
The Super Bowl is in a stadium in your division. So it's all there for the winner of this game. It really is. So the winner from the AFC has to travel cross country to the West Coast to play in what would, it's a neutral field officially, but the 2 NFC West teams play there once a year.
That's a good point. So, yeah, I just haven't seen the Rams hit their top level in a while, and that is the difference for me. I say Seattle win. I do expect it to be close. Like, I do expect it to be high scoring, because whether the Rams, if they don't find their top gear, they will still make big plays. They will still be in this game. It's just when you look at the path recently, they struggled through the Bears. They really struggled through the Bears. They struggled through the Panthers. That loss to the Falcons. Kenneth Walker, they don't want to give him space because you've said it for a long time. This isn't like a jumping on the bandwagon. You've said it for a long time about this guy. This is a player at running back. So I'm going to say Seattle win, Seattle cover, and who would have thought this in the offseason with Sam Darnold, that he's potentially going to a Super Bowl? Conference championship, best bets. What's your first pick, Paul?
I'm going to go with Ramondre Stevenson, who his over-under is only 70 yards. He's hit that number 4 out of the last 5, including a couple of 150-plus yard games. So Ramondre Stevenson total scrimmage yards over 70.5.
Love it. Give me Kenneth Walker total scrimmage over 113 and a half yards. I know that is a big number, but this guy's healthy. They don't have Charbonnet. The offense is going to run through Walker. And the Rams, the defense just hasn't been at the level it was midway through the season. I think that Walker is going to have a big game.
And I'll take the Patriots Broncos over 42 and a half points. It was 41 when the line was released, so it's been bet up. And I've got to believe the reason for that is defenses causing turnovers, short fields, even scoring points on defense through pick sixes, fumble returns. Yeah, there could be everything in this game. So I love this. Patriots Broncos over 42 and a half total points.
It's a captain obvious pick, but give me Puka Nacua over 91 and a half receiving yards. I've been watching the Rams games and teams are they're not doubling Nacua, it feels like. The offense runs through him. Stafford is going to find Nacua this week. Whether they win or lose, I expect Nacua to go off. He went for 200 last time these two teams met. For our fourfold best bet, you're getting 10.5 to 1.